Murphy, Schiller & Wilkes was formed with a simple purpose in mind, serving as the one-stop shop for the legal needs of developers, lenders, and others in the commercial real estate industry. Based in Newark, the firm's attorneys represent clients in the most complex real estate transactions and land development proceedings, as well as property taxation, environmental and real estate litigation matters, and in the acquisition, sale, and leasing of all real estate asset types throughout the country. Their attorneys have broad private and public sector experience coming from top national law firms and high-level governmental positions. Through the development of individualized client-focused strategies, their team works tirelessly to create a blueprint for success and advance their clients' interests in every matter. To learn more, head to murphyllp.com or give them a call at 973-877-6984.
Driving on this road feels like forever.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We are here in Springfield, New Jersey today with Sandra Zotti.
Hello.
That was pretty good.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah? All right, good. I'm a professional, so I should say your name right.
I love it.
Yeah. And we're drinking. We're doing a little day drinking today.
Day drinking.
Yeah, no, I like that. So thanks for letting me into your apartment. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
We're happy to see you.
Of course. Yeah.
Thor and I are happy to have you here.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. We just did like a saber thing, which
Yeah.
we could talk about that at some point. We could even talk about it now. Like, can you tell us like what a sabering is? I'm sure people know most people may know like what it is, but
Well, there's this myth, legend has it that sabering started back in Napoleon days.
Yeah.
So they'd win their battles, they'd be on their horses, people in the town would throw them bottles of champagne, bottles of bubbles to celebrate. They had nothing on them to open the bubbles, so they'd take their sword and they'd saber off the top.
yeah.
So today you did a little sabering. You were my first saber student of the day. There'll be a few more later on.
Is that how many per day?
About a dozen a day.
A dozen a day. Popping a lot of saber cherries.
Pop a lot of saber.
Yeah.
You nailed it. You did it perfectly the first
Thank you.
time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I admit, like, so I told you before we got on here, but like I was a little bit
A little nervous.
nervous.
You didn't seem it.
Because, well, you can't.
You kept it cool.
It's like poker face.
And collected.
Yeah, because it just like I just had like this vision of me doing it like too slow or like missing it, and then like the whole thing just exploding, and I was like, that I don't want that. That would really put a damper on us recording this episode.
It was a perfect way to start.
All right, yeah, I agree.
How you hold the bottle, temperature of the bottle. Bottle needs to be nice and chilled. The more cold the bottle is, the more brittle the glass gets. Holding it right, finding the runway, finding the seam, the weakest point of the bottle where the glass comes together, and just a confident.
Love that.
And you did it. You nailed it. Confident.
Crushed it. So that's what we do. We just crush things here on the show.
And honestly, saber, you could use your credit card, like an Amex.
Yeah.
You could use your iPhone.
That's
I use
crazy
a
to me.
spoon. Sometimes I use a spoon. Takes me a little longer. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. It's just like, because, like you said, thinking like the way that it, like the myth of how it started.
The sword and the saber.
Yeah.
I will be honest with you. I would always use my knives and the blade.
Yeah, they're pretty
like
fucked
an
up.
idiot.
Yeah.
You've seen my blades. I've ruined every knife in this house.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because it just seems like you probably saber more bottles than you use those knives to actually cook with.
Are you trying to say I don't cook?
No, I'm not trying to say you don't cook. I'm just saying like now you got, you should have like a block of knives. I think I have like those same kind of knives. A block of knives of like cooking knives and a block of knives for like sabering knives.
But the reality is you just use the back of the blade. Because I don't always pay attention, I'm ADD and OCD. I was using the blade for years, and then.
Well, once you become an expert, you're just like,
now
look at
it's
this.
just like.
Yeah, not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, why open this like a normal person?
Sometimes I use a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's yeah.
Yeah, so you have to like fold it a couple times. I would imagine. So
I make one of those things, one of those things.
Like an origami?
Yeah, that's
like a paper crane, and use that.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, if you do like something at like a Japanese style restaurant, you could probably do that.
I love it. I'm actually gonna have a sip for that. That calls for a sip.
Okay.
By the way, this is amazing. I am a huge believer in starting the day, the evening, whatever festivity
with alcohol.
Yes. Specifically a sparkle.
Okay.
Specifically a bubble.
All right.
Bubbles help to stimulate the palate, cleanse the palate, gets the saliva going. It gets you ready to eat. And let's face it, it makes you happy.
Right.
That little sparkle in the glass. There's millions, like 20 to 50 million bubbles in a bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
So that makes you instantly happy, romantic, whatever. It gets
Sure.
you ready to,
Yeah.
it gets me fired up at least.
Yeah, no, I can tell. I mean, I feel...
Are you fired up? You're fired up
I'm
right
usually
now.
always fired up.
I can tell you're extra fired up.
Well, I just savored a bottle and I'm drinking bubbles. So, yes. But also just like the palate cleanser thing, you might have how many cups of coffee I've had today and it's only 12:30 or whatever time it is.
All right, so we're...
And now I feel like I feel like I have I'm better prepared to actually like taste something.
Correct.
Yeah.
And those bubbles actually scrub. They're like those little scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah.
Right now,
Right.
as you're sitting here, letting the bubbles do their work, it's cleaning out your palate.
Phenomenal.
What we need, and I did not get, like some fried chicken or like truffle French fries.
Yeah.
Something salty fried. The bubbles just kind of clean through all that salt and fat.
Yeah.
Your homework for like later or this
Just eat
weekend.
fried chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Twist my arm.
Fried chicken,
Yeah.
champagne, or sparkling wine will change your life.
Okay. I'm game.
All
Because
right.
usually if I'm eating fried chicken, it's with like beer or something.
I mean, that works too.
because it is bubbles,
Okay. All right. I'll see.
but
I
not
can
as
see
like
that.
it's generally not as refreshing as this is.
Yeah. This is
but-
a little more elevated, let's say.
Yeah.
A little more romantic. Everything for me comes back to love and romance.
Okay.
Romance.
Just this glass makes me feel like it's more
Isn't
romantic.
this? I mean, okay. Now we're gonna take a little tangent. I have ADD.
At some point, we're going to tell everyone who you are and why you're even on my
We're
show.
not even there yet?
No, we haven't
Who
even made
am
it.
I? Who the heck am I? No, but seriously, like, ideally, the perfect glassware for bubbles is just like a universal glass.
Okay.
That's the ideal glassware for bubbles, because bubbles are wine. Like, you treat bubbles like any other wine, like
Yeah.
Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, still wine. This, for me, the coupe, it's not ideal for bubbles in the sense that the bubbles dissipate, that like effervescence dissipates quicker
Okay.
than if it's in like a
Because it's got so much surface area
right.
that it's on.
However, this is so, like, to me, I feel so like royal and regal and like
Yeah,
Marie
it's very
Antoinette
fancy.
and
Yeah.
great Gatsby Leo DiCaprio is going to come knocking on the door in his white suit, like
Right.
with this coupe, and
Yeah.
there's something.
He's definitely holding it like this.
Yeah, he's got. I might hear the door knocking right now.
Yeah.
in the light.
If he winds up being here, that'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, legend has it that the shape of the coupe is after Marie Antoinette's breast shape and size. Whether or not that's true, who
Interesting.
knows? That's like the legend in the wine world. But for me, there's just something so, I don't know, elegant.
It is pretty
and-
elegant. Yeah.
About a coupe. So I got a bunch of coupes during COVID, and I consumed a lot of champagne here alone.
Yeah. I mean,
Waiting
that's
for
okay.
that door to knock, and it did not happen.
No, it's all right. Just got to give it time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
All right.
do we want to know
Who the
I
hell
am?
are you?
Honestly?
Yeah. So I mean, like
I don't
obviously,
know.
yeah. So obviously, you know some things about wine and what we're talking about today. And like I've seen your stuff on Instagram, and was like, I knew you do a lot of stuff with local businesses and other things, which
Yeah.
we can get into in a little bit. But just kind of like a little bit about your background. Are you a Jersey girl? Like,
I am.
Okay.
Born and raised in Jersey.
Nice.
Left for just a few years to live in New York, but I'm back here. I can't
Just
seem to
pulls you
leave.
back
It
in.
keeps pulling me back. I always like to say that my career in wine began at the age of 5. Like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was introduced to my first biccherino di vino rosso at the table.
All right. What's that?
So a glass of red wine.
Oh.
Biccherino, a little glass of
Oh, okay.
red wine.
Yeah.
So my are you Italian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ham. Can't you
Ham.
tell?
Emo.
Ham. No, so
Prosciutto.
so I'm like 75% Italian. My dad's dad was not Italian, so that's where the ham comes from.
Gotcha.
But like my grandmother on my mom's side is from Italy, and then everybody else is just kind of like Italian. Like
Got
my
it.
grandfather's like your classic like Brooklyn Italian guy.
Okay.
And then my dad's mom was also Italian, so yeah.
My parents were born in Campania,
Okay.
in Napoli. So Napoli, Campania, southern Italy. So they came into this country, I think, in the 60s.
Sure.
And my mom's one of 9, my dad's one of 8. Huge Italian family. Most all of them came here. I have a ton of cousins. Anyway, I was raised in that quintessential, that stereotypical Italian home. Puccini, Pavarotti fill the speakers. We dance the tarantella. On Sunday, to this day, every Sunday is this big to-do. Like, we have our pasta, we make homemade sauce, we have our braciole, meatball, eggplant.
Are you making homemade pasta too, or just the sauce?
That's the sauce we make every year. We'll do
Sure.
like 200-300 jars every August.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it's a big production. I
Yeah.
have some. I can show you. Pasta depends how ambitious we are in making homemade pasta.
Because it is a whole production.
That's a whole other.
And I only have like the hand crank.
Yeah.
So that takes forever.
That takes forever. I mean,
Yeah.
my mom will sometimes do it by hand, but we're all ADD, my family, my
Yeah.
parents too. So like that's a lot for us to take. Trying to make
It's a lot of
pasta,
things. Yeah.
make the braciole.
With a lot of people.
With a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I grew up kindergarten. I'd have for breakfast a little espresso, a little biscotti, Nutella, and then I'd go to school. Like
Yeah.
I never. It was food, wine, music was part of our daily life, and
Yeah.
every meal was a celebration, even if it was just snack time.
Right.
Like I'd love coming home from school, and my mom would have like little like eggplant mozzarella sandwiches for me at 3:15. What kids eat?
Phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was
Far
obsessed.
cry from like Lunchables and shit like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have a really good story about. Well, I'm gonna go right there right now.
Yeah.
In high school, the gym teacher, he was Italian, and I don't remember if it was my sister or one of my cousins. Someone one day came in with like a broccoli rabe and veal Milanese, veal cutlet sandwich. Do you know broccoli rabe?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
broccoli rabe, veal cutlet sandwich, and the gym teacher got a look at it and he's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "If your parents make me the sandwich every time there's gym, you're exempt from gym." This was years ago.
Yeah.
So it started the tradition in the Zotti family. Whoever was the next person that got to the high school, we'd have to make prosciutto mozzarella, broccoli rabe, veal cutlets. We were exempt for gym our entire high school career.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty
If
good.
you hate gym, then yeah.
So the other kids in class would try to come in and bring like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He's like,
Nah.
Go.
Yeah, get that shit out of here.
Get your-
You
get
gotta
your,
do 2 classes of gym.
So anyway, at an early age, I was obsessed with like how food, wine, and music paired together. So my initial career, I was a classical pianist.
Okay.
Started teaching at 16 and performing. At one point, I had like 50, 60 students. I was teaching every day, going
Wow.
I loved it. But through the years, I always studied wine. I was obsessed with how food and wine paired together. I wanted to know more. And I'd say in my early 30s, I started really going for wine certifications and wanting to actually have the knowledge and not just drink and get drunk.
Yeah, right.
And understand why it
Who
was.
would do that?
Right, who would do that? So I wanted to know more. So got a bunch of certifications, and I think it was 2010, got my first job in the business working for Gary Vaynerchuk over at the wine library.
Okay.
Just working the floor,
Yeah.
old school, retail,
Right.
and then it quickly progressed to hosting events and kind of sharing my passion and being my crazy self.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it just organically kept growing,
Yeah.
and more people started hearing about me and what I do. And I mean, I don't know if it's kind of obvious. I have a lot of energy,
Right.
and I'm extremely
Yeah.
passionate about
Yeah.
sharing.
But then I think that comes through for sure. And that's ultimately like when I was looking through, because I was just like looking for new people to have on the show for 2023. Because, you know, we've been doing the show now since I told you October 2021.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And we've done so many different kinds of businesses and nonprofits and people, and a lot of different kinds of personalities coming through the show. And then I wanted to do more like, you know, just like different kinds of stuff, like do more things where I can interact with different types of people in
Yep.
different fields. And I haven't done anything like this before. And then I had seen your stuff come through because I think we have mutual friends.
Yep, we do.
And then I was like, like, why not ask? And then you were like, let's do it. And
Let's
I
do
was like,
it, and let's
"Great."
drink.
Yeah,
I mean, and savor.
right. I didn't even know I was going to do that until we literally sat down.
Maybe we'll play a little piano too. We'll see how crazy we get.
Yeah. How many of these bottles do we go through?
How many bottles we go through? Yeah, so over the last few years, now I have my own business. I partner with retail spaces, companies, private companies, country clubs, restaurants, musicians, and I just put on a show. So I'm referred to now as a wine edutainer,
Okay.
educator, entertainer, because there's education, but I want to make wine fun and bring people together, make people happy, make people smile, and ultimately get them excited for what is in their glass.
Yeah, for sure. So normally, and people that listen to the show consistently know we usually do like 3 segments of
Yep.
this show. We're going to do 2
Okay.
a little bit longer segments.
Because I don't stop talking, perhaps?
No, because I want to make sure that we get everything in because I'm blown away so far with the first 15 minutes of this.
Is it already been 15 minutes?
Maybe like a little bit less. I'm just looking at my timer, but
Feels like it's a minute.
Exactly, but time flies when you're
That's
having
'cause of
fun,
you.
right? And we're drinking, so that makes time go really fast. So I do want to. So we have 2 bottles of wine here that we're going to try as we go through this. And then you were telling me before that these are from 2 girls that have their own. It was a wine
import company. So 2 of my dear friends, Eva Zorode and Angela DeLuca Wright, great friends. I met them several years ago back in my wine library days. They recently bought this small boutique import company. Amazing. So they're only bringing in like the smallest, finest wines from Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, Slovenia, some New World as well, some California. Anyway, I had a 6-hour lunch with them because who does not enjoy a 6-hour lunch?
I would love a 6-hour lunch.
6-hour lunch at Benito's in Union. The best spots, by the way.
Okay.
Little Jersey plug.
Jot that down.
Benito's in Union. It was right before Christmas. We sat down, drank some wine, 6-hour lunch. We kind of stumbled out of there. Anyway, I told them I was doing this podcast with you, and they were telling me about this import company that they were a part of, but recently took full ownership of. So it's the 2 of them, they're owners, and they only have women working for them, which is super cool.
Yeah.
There's like 7 women working for them. So I'm super passionate about the wines they bring in and import because they taste every one of them and they're all super high quality and there's a story behind each of the bottles. So I figured it would be fun, since this is all about Jersey,
For sure.
to drink some wines imported from 2 Jersey girl friends of mine who are absolutely crushing the game right now.
That's awesome. No, I love that. And I think that's because when we had talked, we were trying to find a way to tie it back to Jersey somehow, whether it was like a Jersey winery or something like this. And I think that this is great. And I also like the fact that, because like normally I don't drink a lot of like drinks like this at all. But like I don't drink a ton of wine in general. So I was just curious to see like what kind of wines you brought here. And I'm honestly glad that they're not like, here's a Cabernet, because like, sure, love it. Great, whatever. But at the same time, it's like people drink that all the time. So
Right.
like we have some different ones here.
Yep.
Right now we're working on the bubbles.
Right.
So can we talk about like what that is?
Absolutely. So first of all, I should say the name of the import company is Bonamy Wine Imports.
We should probably, do that too.
So Bonamy Wine Imports, love the girls, amazing, Eva and Angela. And I'm so glad you said that, by the way, about like normally you'd expect a cab or sort or I don't know, Merlot.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
When I do events, a lot of what I'm doing actually now is still virtual, believe it or not. I mean,
Okay.
I'm in person, absolutely, but
Sure.
I am there's still a space for virtual.
Well, you can
bringing-
touch so many more people in so many different parts of the country.
So like, I have a calendar full of events this month, like hitting up people around the country, and we just have like an amazing high energy hour and a half together.
Yeah.
But for, I'd say over 90% of my events, I'm always pouring wines that are not predictable.
Sure.
Rather than that cab. And I mean, I love cab. I mean,
Yeah. If I were to drink a wine, it would probably be that.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I always get the same reaction. And, you know, a lot of guys will be like, oh, no, I don't really like bubbles or I don't like rosé. And then they taste it. They're like, wait a second. And then we discuss food pairing. They start to feel the little movement.
Right.
And then we talk about food pairings and they start to get excited.
Yeah.
So, again, if I had a beverage of choice forever to drink, it would be champagne.
Okay.
And I always say, and Eva, one of the owners of the company, has said this herself as well, I know I made it, we know we made it, if we could wake up for breakfast every day and have a bottle of rosé champagne in bed. Has not happened yet.
Well,
but maybe we'll talk in another year or 2.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
I like the way that you phrase that too.
One day.
Right.
Anyway, so what we're doing, we're not drinking champagne. So champagne can only be called champagne if it's coming from the Champagne region in France.
I knew that.
You did?
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
Oh, that makes me really happy.
Yeah, that's about the extent of my knowledge though, but continue, please.
That's really exciting stuff, though. I love it. So the small little region, northeast Spain, there you go. I swear to God, I'm sober. France.
Living a couple sips so
Sober.
far.
I think I am. No, so Champagne, the smaller region, northeast France, about an hour train ride from Paris. Anything else in the world, sparkling wine or cava or prosecco, In France, though, you have 8 regions that are designated to make bubbles in that same style, that method champenois, the same method of making champagne. But they're called cremant. And I don't speak French. I won't pretend to speak French.
I think that's pretty
Parlo
good.
Italiano, non parlo francese.
Sure, yeah.
So I won't even try to give you that inflection accent because I feel like I sound like
Right.
an idiot when I do that,
Yeah.
if it's not Italian.
Yeah.
So cremant, C-R-E-M-A-N-T, cremant is lightly crackling, lightly sparkling. That's sparkling wine coming from these other 8 designated regions in France, made in that champagne method. So you're getting the champagne essence, if you will, generally for a fraction of the price, fraction of the cost.
Got it.
Is it exactly the same? No, we don't need to do a whole technical champagne lesson. We can certainly do that one day.
Sure.
But this is cremant, so lightly sparkling. This is from Burgundy.
Okay.
Clotilde Bevan is the producer. She is a rock star. She is like one of the leading female winemakers coming out of Burgundy, France. Her story in and of itself is just badass.
Yeah.
She started making wine. She's always a feminist. Couldn't make wine in France, goes to California, starts making sparkling wine, comes back years later, works for a really famous producer, and then I believe it was the early 2000s, she finally started making her own wine, and she's killing the game. Amazing. So
Very
this
cool.
is 100% Pinot Noir, made in similar style as champagne. For me, this is, and but everything is like hand harvested, or no pesticides, herbicides, as natural as it could be. But for me, this reminds me.
Are you supposed to hold it from like the stem?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it doesn't get too warm?
I don't
Is that a
get
thing?
too. Yes, again, I don't get too. Technically,
I'm just like watching you hold it, and I'm like
Yeah.
holding it like a gorilla,
I mean, we could go. No.
like caveman hands, just like wrapping my whole hand around this thing.
Yeah, but you have nice hands.
Well, thank you, but I just want to make sure that I'm not doing it the wrong way. So like it's on camera, so I don't want to like make it look like I'm an
Yeah,
idiot.
but how did Leo hold it? He looked good when he held it that
It's
way.
like it's like this, but I think
Right.
that's like branding.
Is that like a cocktail? I know this is like a. Yes, the stem,
right, we'll
because
hold
if
it
you're
from the
holding
stem.
it this way, you're technically warming. But I mean, I don't get crazy with that.
Right.
I
If you're
don't-
drinking it fast enough, it's not going
I
to
don't
get
believe
warm.
wine should be pretentious.
Yeah.
It's wine.
Sure.
It's bringing people together.
Yes, I
But
agree
yes,
with that.
stem. So that
Okay.
whole sidebar answer was stem.
Got it.
Anyway, 100% Pinot Noir. For me, this is like I'm walking in a field of little small wild strawberries. And maybe there's some like nectarine, skin, and peach. And there's also like a savory, salty note. I'm going to go 2 places here.
Okay.
One, I feel like maybe my toes are in this pink sands of Bermuda. Like it looks like
Yeah.
pink sand,
Yeah.
right? So there's something salty about champagne or cremant or sparkling wine coming from different regions of France. So like there's something beachy, salty,
Yeah.
seashell-y, like
Okay.
crushed seashells.
Sure.
Or we could take a little bit of I always get confused. Is it cantaloupe, the orange melon? Honeydew, cantaloupe.
I think it's cantaloupe. Yeah.
Like prosciutto wrapped around cantaloupe. You
Oh.
have that like fruity,
Yeah.
salty component, savory, fruity. There's something about this that's giving me that like salty, savory. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Do you think I'm crazy?
No, I'm just like I'm amazed.
You know, like
This
that.
is- yeah.
There's so much happening here, more than just like, oh, it's a fun little bubble. It's,
Right.
You know, wild strawberries or what are those? It's that candy? Is it? It's not sweet tarts. Is it sweet tarts? That's kind of like chalky.
Yeah. Like
Right?
a sweet tart or like a Necco. That's old school sweet tarts.
How do I not know that one? Necco?
Neccos. They're like sweet tarts, but they're like big and flat, and they're literally like eating like sidewalk chalk. But
I don't even think I know that name.
yeah,
Huh.
that's like an old school
Really?
candy. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
All right, let's sip it together.
okay.
Cheers. Let's do
Cheers.
it. Let's go in.
Now what's that you're doing?
And
You're like swishing it around.
I don't do that all the time.
Oh, okay. Just for the purposes of the
most
show.
of the time, I'm just kind of going
Like,
right from the bottle, and
sure.
it's a rave.
Yeah.
But when I'm teaching, when I'm doing events, I do that. At least the initial sips. It's getting some air in your mouth. It's helping the wine to aerate in your mouth, so the aromatics expand, kind of start traveling through your olfactory system,
Okay.
hit the limbic system of your brain, and say, I'm getting those pink sands of Bermuda, kind of salty, maybe Jolly Rancher watermelon happening action
I
a
can
little
see
bit.
that. Yeah.
That kind of like initial like tartness, and then as
Right.
it just ripens and comes in contact with the air and the saliva in your mouth, it starts to ripen more to that like cantaloupe, if you will.
Sure.
Like it starts out tart and then it starts to open up. So that's just like an obnoxious way of getting air in the
No,
mouth.
I love that.
And make
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
aerate. I don't do that all the time. It's
All right.
more work events. And
Yeah, if you took
I'm
every
obsessing-
sip like that, if you were just like drinking and had every sip like that, I'd be like, I can't drink with
I
you.
can't. This
Yeah.
we're ending
We
this
can- we
right
can't
now.
be friends.
We can't be friends. I understand. Yeah. What do you think of the wine?
No, this is really good. And like you were saying before, it was funny because like I joke sometimes about how like if I get like a beer and it's poured in one of like those little fancy little glasses, I'm just like, I don't feel, tough drinking a beer out of a glass. And I definitely don't feel tough drinking this, but this is really good. Like I would never drink anything like this or like go out of my way to like order something like this, but it is good. So like trying to decide I think we should take our first break real fast because I need to reset the camera anyway.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and we'll do like some food stuff with this one.
That's my favorite thing to talk
And then
about.
we'll get into the other bottle that we have here.
Awesome.
Is that good?
Love it.
All right, cool.
Sounds
Just
great.
because we're like bumping up when that thing's going to turn off.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Cool. So this is the Greens from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Cam. We're here in Springfield, New Jersey with Sandra Zotti.
Love it.
We'll be right back. The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes. Bored of going to the same park? Want to try a new local adventure? Well, then check out njspots.com, your home for finding a new spot to discover right here in New Jersey. With dozens of maps to check out, local hiking spots, family-friendly places, and seasonal suggestions, NJ Spots is waiting for you to find somewhere new to explore. That's njspots.com. All right, we're back for segment 2 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Cam. We're here in Springfield, New Jersey with Sandra Zotti.
You're actually,
I'm getting better.
I think.
Because I'm like leaning into it and I'm drinking. So
you did like
I'm
a
getting
little.
loose.
You did